All right, so what we're going to talk about today is comparing integers. Now, I've done two videos on integers, one of them defining what it is and some real-world applications, how you can actually use them in the world all around us. Now, you should know what an integer is by now, but just in case, remember, an integer is a whole number, keyword whole number, and its opposite. So for example, if I have 50, that is an integer. Its opposite is negative 50, both whole numbers. No decimals, no fractions. If you see those, not an integer. Okay? So let's talk about comparing them, looking at them and saying, okay, negative 5 is less than 3. How is that? Why is that? Things like that. Now, the best way to do this is to use a number line. Now, we're starting out small with a number line to help us out. Eventually, you won't need the number line, okay? But for right now, we're going to use a number line, and I'll show you how that works. But first, let's kind of get a little bit of a refresher on how to use a number line. Now, with any number line, we always start with 0. The 0 is always our starting point. So that's what we're going to talk about. So anything to the right of the 0, which is this way, are numbers that we're used to. Since we've been itty bitty, we've been used to these numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They get bigger as we go up. The bigger the number, the bigger the value, right? We can do that in our sleep. I'm not saying that some of you talk in your sleep, but I have heard that some of you drool in your sleep. Don't ask me why I know that. Parents, you know, they give all your secrets away. Sorry. Get on to them. Don't be mad at me. Be mad at them. Anyway, so that's what we're used to. That's the easy part. If you go to the right on a number line, the numbers get bigger, or the integers get bigger. So let's mark that so we know. You go to the right, larger integers. Okay, get used to talking about integers because that's probably how we're going to refer to numbers from now on. Okay, now here is the confusing part because we're going to deal with negatives. Negatives can be a little confusing, so if you get a little confused, don't worry. 6th graders get confused on this every year. Not a big deal. Don't freak out, okay? So we know right of 0, numbers get bigger. Well, what if we go to the left? What if we go that way? If we go that way, the numbers get smaller, okay? Now you're probably looking at this right here and you're thinking, oh my gosh, the numbers are getting bigger. Mr. Meagher, Mr. Meagher, Mr. Meagher, I've known all my life that the number is bigger. It's bigger. You're telling me it's getting smaller, but I see that 5. You're telling me that 5 is smaller than that 1? What? No, 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 no. Mine's one. Okay. Brain matters all over the screen right now. You're slumped over. You're drooling. It's probably a mess. But before that happens, let me assure you, okay? We're going to talk about the word opposite. An opposite is the exact different thing of one other thing. Now that's kind of hard to explain, but let's look at it this way, okay? If an integer is a number and its opposite, 1, what's its opposite? Negative 1. It's its exact opposite. Everything is different about negative 1 than it is with 1. It's kind of like the good versus evil, okay? Kind of that. Let's say that the positive ones, they have a wonderful outlook in life. That's why they're called positive. They're the good guys. The negative ones, they're always down and dreary, and they're evil, and we don't like them. Complete opposite people. We've all known people like that, okay? Same thing with integers, okay? So, since we know that if you go to the right of 0, numbers get bigger, the opposite of that, numbers get smaller. Think of it like that. Maybe that'll be a little easier for you. So, as we go to the left from 0, they get smaller. Okay? So, how does that help us to compare? Well, let me show you an example. Okay, we're going to compare those two integers. Now, usually when we compare any type of integers, we're using a couple of signs. The less than, greater than, equal to. Okay? So here is less than, greater than, equal to. So those are our signs. You should be familiar with those, but just in case, okay? All right, so we're looking at negative 50, and we're comparing it with 7. And we want to know, is negative 50 greater than? Is it less than? Is it equal to? Okay? So from what we've talked about, if negative numbers as you go to the left on the number line, they get smaller, we know that negative 50 is way over here. Okay? So that means it's really small. 7, which is a positive number, because remember, if it doesn't have a sign in front of it, it's going to be positive. Okay? It's on the right side of 0. So as it gets bigger, as we go to the right, they get bigger. Okay? So we're looking at these two and we're comparing them. So since we know that this is really small, this is going to be bigger. So it is going to be less than. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, leave a question in the comments down below as I point to the floor. And leave a comment there or shoot me an email. You know how to get a hold of me. Hopefully that helps.